boys and girls.
You know, when this story first came out, it seemed really weird. But now that we're in the age of AI girlfriends, Bluetooth fleshlights, and sentient sex dolls, this seems kind of normal. Here's Mannequin.
We're going to have fun.
So we meet Jonathan Switcher, a guy who can't hold down a job because he's a perfectionist and too creative.
Reality is very disappointing.
He lost a job for making art with pizza toppings, or possibly using enough to give it some actual flavor. He lost a job as a gardener for making animals in the bushes instead of just trimming them. And he lost a job as a balloon animal guy, not because he almost killed a kid, but because he gave the kid the display balloon that would have needed to be replaced after this event anyway.
My balloon!
He goes to pick up his girlfriend Roxy from work on his motorcycle, which she thinks is embarrassing. And because he got fired again, she tells him that he needs to get his shit together if they're gonna stay a couple. Then she gets in a cab right before it starts raining, and he finds out his bike won't start. So now he's pushing it in the rain, and this is where he sees a mannequin in a department store window.
Just happened to be in the neighborhood on a dark and stormy night.
See, at another one of his jobs, he took 6 days to put this mannequin together, and he thought this was some of his best work as a sculptor.
So he, molded it?
Well, we only know that he added the arms and legs, which were pre-made, and only took about 2 minutes. So the other 5 days, 7 hours, and 58 minutes must have been him painting the face, adding a wig, and deciding how big her boobs should be.
A little flat-chested, but hey, all you need's a handful.
But he sees the mannequin and runs over like a guy who just came back from war. He's like, picking your head-torso combination made me feel like an artist again. But then the lights turn off, so he goes back to his bike, which magically starts up again.
What's going on here? Is this some kind of
magic? The darkest magic.
The next day, he goes to the store that the mannequin is at to see if he can buy her some shit. They're putting up a sign celebrating their 100th anniversary, and this old lady's micromanaging the crew.
It's a skosh crooked.
Turns out, she's the owner, but a guy pushing a stock cart bumps into one of the workers, and he drops his rope. I guess he didn't realize that the merchandise needs to be in the store.
What are you doing here?
But the sign drops, somehow not from the part of the rope that was let go, and Jonathan pushes Mrs. Timken out of the way, but then stupidly tries to save the sign by jumping on it to slow it down. So to thank him, she gives him a job interview while he's swinging and getting his taint shocked. And wouldn't you know it, he gets that job.
You're hired!
He should be suing her and a construction company.
Shut up. Now he gets full access to his plastic dream girl and gets paid for it.
We could have just added her to what he wants in the settlement.
I could do that.
She gives him a tour of the empty store, and he asks when they open, and she disappointedly tells him that they're open right now, even though she originally thought he was waiting outside for them to open.
A customer lined up to get into our store.
No, I'm a regular kind of guy, okay?
But she takes him to Mr. Richards, who she tells to hire Jonathan, even though she's already hired him. She also tells him that it seems like he hired an incompetent construction crew on purpose, which he might have, since he's working with Roxy's boss to get Mrs. Timken to sell.
I didn't ask for this. It just landed in my lap.
So even though Jonathan tells him that he wants to work with mannequins, Mr. Richards hires him as a stock boy. Probably since that other one wasn't paying attention enough to realize that he was outside.
Why am I here?
So he calls Roxy on company time to let her know he got a job and wants to take her out to celebrate. Then he spends his whole shift looking for the mannequin when he knows what window she was in last night. They also use the same doors for the window displays as they do for the dressing rooms.
Ooh, that little prevert!
But he finally finds her, but is interrupted by the window dresser, Hollywood. He tells him to bring her to another window after he's finished drooling over her, but somehow gets suckered into bringing him more crap.
This is what being a man is all about! Oh, yeah!
And that's when Jonathan bumps into the security guard, Felix, who takes his job way too seriously.
I'd be happy to strip search him.
He also has a dog with him that he tried to butch up by giving it a macho name, but he's really a giant chicken shit.
Rambo?
I call him that because he likes to draw first blood.
That doesn't even make any sense.
They drew first blood, not me.
When he gets back to Hollywood, he tells him that he has to go meet Roxy, but he just had a fight with his boyfriend and wants to go see him. So Jonathan says that he'll finish the window so he can go. And that's when the mannequin comes to life.
Don't panic, it's only me.
Emma has a ray.
She tells him that she watched how much care he put into making her body, so she chose him to be the one she could come alive for. And she wants him to show her everything, starting with the wood shop.
That's not a great place for somebody that's made of wood.
She's probably made of fiberglass and plastic, but still not great. But I'm not sure why they have a wood shop on site, but still have to hire an outside construction crew to hang a sign.
If I were paranoid, I'd swear this was sabotage.
I mean, they're clearly not worried about lawsuits.
He saved my life.
Well, $5 should do it, I think.
So she introduces herself as Emmy and tells him that back in ancient Egypt, she was trying to avoid getting married by dressing up like a mummy. Not sure what she did with the body that was supposed to be there, but whatever.
Have you no respect for the dead?
So her mom found her hiding, and Emmy told her that she wanted to do great things with her life. But her mom told her that since they're women, that they don't get to do stuff, and to just accept it, marry this dude, and be a baby factory.
It's not exactly fair, is it?
So after hearing this, she prayed to the gods to help her, and they did.
The gods have bigger things to worry about than you.
Apparently not.
So the great thing she wants to do is to make a window display that no one's ever seen before. I guess the two that we know she's been in before were a little too boring for her taste. So they work all night, and Jonathan wakes up in the window and finds out a homeless guy loves it. But he realizes that he stood up Roxy and rushes over to take her to work. But her coworker Armand is there to offer her a ride, even though he didn't know she needed one.
I'm constantly stalking that fox.
But this is so he can, when Jonathan tries to explain that he thinks this mannequin came to life and talked him into redoing a window that was already finished. So she leaves with Armand, even though he sexually harasses her every chance he can get.
I would love to sink my teeth into your little bottom.
At work, her boss BJ tells her that when they buy Prince & Company, he's looking at her to be his replacement when he gets promoted. Then this dude comes in to tell him that Jonathan's window display was so good that people were lined up to look at it, to which BJ gets pissed and he has to say that it sucked. But then BJ tells Richards that if he lets Jonathan keep designing windows, that he won't hire him to be his replacement when he gets promoted.
I'm confused. I thought that was your job.
So since there's a board meeting that day, Richards brings up that Jonathan should be fired for causing crowds to form in front of the building.
Okay, that just sounds like a fire hazard.
Hollywood comes to plead a case for him by saying he'll threaten to jump off the building to save his job, but settles for just wearing a suit instead.
You had to make it weird.
But that's not necessary, because it dawns on Mrs. Tempkin that maybe these new window displays might bring people into the store to buy something.
Wow, you think that up all by yourself?
And another board member thinks the concept of advertising does have potential to bring in customers, and moves to push the sale for 6 weeks.
But if the store gets more business, couldn't they decide not to sell?
Right. But if the board already knew that they were planning on selling, why would they celebrate the 100-year anniversary instead of that being a liquidation sign?
Good questions all, sir.
So Mrs. Tempkin brings him in and promotes him to visual merchandiser, which is fancy corporate speak for window guy. She tells him to keep doing what he did last night, but he thinks that because he was insane, he might not be able to do it again.
But in Christmas Lost and Found, it took that girl weeks to come up with a window. How was he supposed to do this every night?
Well, she was a party planner who came up with the complete designs and decorated entire ballrooms on the regular. So asking her to decorate a 12-foot by 3-foot space using clothes and other items the store already had was clearly way too difficult and completely out of her wheelhouse.
How would I even go about doing that?
Jonathan, on the other hand, is a sculptor. So naturally, he can promote clothing no problem.
Just trying to show the customer a little flair, that's all.
But Richards wants to find a reason to fire Jonathan, so he tells Felix to keep an eye on him. So that night, Jonathan goes to Emmy's window, but finds out she can only come to life if nobody else is around.
Like if Andy comes into the room in Toy Story?
Right, and this is exactly why I don't tell you children's stories. You already know those.
I can respect that.
And you probably know about Christopher Columbus too, right?
The guy that everyone gives credit to for discovering America, but never actually made it to America?
Yeah, that guy.
Bum!
Well, Emmy's the one who told him the world was round. But after that, he left and she never saw him again.
That skunk.
She also came to life for Michelangelo, but didn't stick around for him because he was gay.
Oh, the little Mary has an assistant now, huh?
Okay, Michelangelo could have sculpted her, so I get how she could come to life for him. But what about Christopher Columbus? Was he an artist too?
No, but sailors get really lonely when they're out to sea, especially since it was considered bad luck for women to be on the boat. So my guess is that he made a woman out of supplies found on the ship and hit the lottery when it comes to high seas sex dolls. Hey, you asked.
You was just looking for a good time.
Anyway, Jonathan tells her that he needs her help to make new windows every night, and she agrees. And just as he's about to kiss her, she sits on an audio mixer and turns on some music. She wants to dance, so they play dress up all over the store, where he gets to wear Halloween costumes, and she dresses up like various prostitutes.
You mean a hooker? Who hired you?
But Hollywood comes in, and Emmy goes back to being a mannequin.
I'm gonna wind up in the nut house after this.
And after he leaves, they make a new window display in the same window, even though the store has way more than one. And this one's a hit too, so much that Roxy wants to meet him for lunch. She offers him a job at her company, but he feels like he's finally doing what he was meant to do, and needs to stay loyal to the people who had faith in him, who he now feels are like family.
7 days isn't like a lifetime or anything.
It's like a week.
So the old lady who gave him a job to avoid being sued, a guy who lets him do all the work, a guy trying to get him fired, and a guy who's supposed to get dirt on him?
Yep, sounds like corporate retail to me.
Parasites, a lot of them.
Anyway, Richards tells Felix to figure out how he's able to make such amazing displays. But he wasn't able to find out where the loud music was coming from before, so he might not be the best security guard to do this.
There's something strange going on in the store at night.
Hell, he can't even tell that Roxy and Armand were hiding in the jewelry department after hours.
There's no danger of nothing as long as me and Rambo are on patrol.
They're there to find out who Jonathan's working with, so maybe they can buy her out.
Not hire her? Roxy knows he normally can't hold down a job.
Nope, just to keep her from helping Jonathan from doing good. But Felix finds him first, and it looks like he's fooling around with a mannequin. Which, he was, but he could have just fallen.
Put your arms around me and hold on tight.
With pleasure.
And Roxy and Armand see this too, and she assumes that this 4th floor mannequin is his partner helping him make window displays on the ground level. No way he was just moving a display, because a few days ago, he told her that he was having a psychotic break when he thought a mannequin came to life, which she wrote off as an excuse for him standing her up.
The man is a lunatic, but I've never known him to lie.
So they fuck off after taking a few pictures, and Felix decides that telling Richards isn't good enough, and he deserves a good old-fashioned ass-kicking for rolling on the floor with a mannequin.
Where do you people come from?
So they fight, but Emmy helps when he's not looking, and Jonathan knocks him the fuck out.
What happened?
Later, when riding bicycles, they pass by Hollywood, who has to change his glasses because he heard them behind him.
I wonder if Insandy's covering the employee health plan.
Then Emmy finds a glider and uses it to finally get to fly. And unless they have a really strong HVAC system, I don't know how she's doing this.
That's so easy, really. It's wind and air.
But she takes this opportunity to crash into Felix and knock him the fuck out again. But now they realize they fooled around so long that they don't have time to do the window. So they make most of the mannequins losing their clothes and make a city bus coming out of the side of the building. Because that wouldn't be time consuming at all.
It only took me 6 days to do it.
The next morning, people are just gathered around watching Felix sleep in a display. And he tells Richards what he saw last night. Mrs. Timken calls bullshit and wants him fired for sleeping on the job. Then when Felix says that he was just following orders, Mrs. Timken fires Richards too.
You know it works best for me, crying shamelessly.
So now, Jonathan has free reign of the store at night, and he's making newspaper headlines for how great his window displays are.
The headline will read,
He's just a twerpy stock boy. That window was a fluke.
Local artists are drawing his windows for inspiration, and the store has never been so successful in the 100 years it's been open.
I am so jealous.
He even works during the day sometimes now, where he carries Emmy around, and everyone's just okay with this.
He's talking to the dummy again.
Just kidding. They're like, so he's fucking that thing, right?
Maybe I can get G.I. Joe and we can double sometime.
What would happen if somebody walked in while he was banging her?
Well, because she would go back to a mannequin, you'd think her vagina would seal back up and cut his dick off. But since she's able to pose in ways her original body wasn't in, maybe it would just become plastic around it and people would just assume he drilled a hole.
It's obvious to this country girl that you're an #1 creative freak.
But Hollywood does walk in on him once, but they were only kissing. So maybe they just don't bang during business hours.
I always find it best not to explain. It adds a certain mystique to one's reputation.
Anyway, despite being labeled a mannequin fucker, which calling him that is exactly what she fired Felix and Richards for, the board still makes him a vice president of the company.
You just got promoted.
But Hollywood's worried about losing his job when his friend becomes his boss, so now he wants Jonathan to teach him how to be better. He tells him that he works alone, but Emmy tells him to do a window with Hollywood because he's the artist, not her. So they make a window together, and Emmy thinks it's great.
This isn't good.
He also plans on taking her out on the town, but as they get on his motorcycle, Roxy and Armand show up to offer him the job one last time. See, BJ hired Felix to go steal the mannequin to lure him over to their store, and she still cares about him, so she would rather get him to join peacefully.
You're not developing a conscience on me, are you?
But he tells her to fuck off and rides off with Emmy.
How did he think he was going to be able to take her around town without anybody seeing?
Well, Philadelphia is just one of those towns that completely dies after it gets dark. They must be afraid of vampires or some shit.
You people that work at night scare me.
But Richards and Felix are there and see him take off, so they follow. But not very well, so they give up on being sneaky and just chase him. But Jonathan leads them down one of those alleys that aren't wide enough for cars, and they get stuck.
Did you ever happen to jump out of a plane, land on your face?
Yes, sir.
But they're not the only ones having a bad night. To get over Jonathan, Roxy agreed to sleep with Armand, but he couldn't get it up.
You mean you took me serious?
But Jonathan, on the other hand, pitches 2 tents, and he and Emmy bang.
Are you really sure that you want to do this?
Did he ever scream, "Don't stop, Woody"?
Then they cuddle in a hammock, but when he falls asleep, she leaves to go to the window, and he wakes up to a bunch of his coworkers standing around watching him sleep.
Uh-oh. She fired Felix for sleeping on the job, so he's toast.
No, he's fine. Mrs. Timken loves him.
I don't care if he puts a rubber glove on his head and runs naked through the store yelling, "Hi, I'm a squid!"
But they have bigger fish to fry, because Hollywood tells him that somebody snuck in and stole all the female mannequins last night.
What do you plan to do with these things?
So Hollywood drives him over to the other store, where Jonathan storms in the boardroom. They won't turn Emmy over, so Roxy storms off. So Jonathan hits Richards and follows, but the secretary already called security. And despite not being officially hired until he stole the mannequin, Felix is already working his first shift. He even has a new dog since the other one was traumatized.
Come on, Terminator. Duty calls.
Sarah Connor?
Actually, no.
Screw your dog.
So when Jonathan is trying to escape the ridiculous number of security guards, Roxy's taken all the mannequins and starts feeding them into a giant shredder.
You killed her!
Luckily, Emmy wasn't in the first batch, so she's the last one on the conveyor belt. But Jonathan eventually gets past the guards, but only with the help of Hollywood, who's already in the back room armed with a fire hose for some reason.
Hollywood is on your case.
Roxy just happens to be standing under a trash chute, so she gets knocked the fuck out. But Emmy doesn't come alive at this moment. She has to wait for Jonathan to come in, run up the belt, and grab her. And this adds a hell of a lot more weight for him to lift, so she was better off in mannequin form.
My boyfriend thinks I'm fat.
But this dude comes in from taking a shit and turns off the machine.
I am so glad you're working here.
He also saw Emmy switch from a mannequin to a woman, so now that she's kissing Jonathan, he's going through the trash kissing mannequins, hoping he can find one too.
Make sure that lunatic never works in this town again.
He finds Roxy and thinks he hit the jackpot. But when he gets rejected, the poor guy that was so desperate for love that he would kiss trash mannequins finds himself rejected by both women and dolls. So he's like, into the wood chipper.
So how could he see her?
Well, when he showed up to rescue her, the gods knew Jonathan loved her. So they let her become human so she could spend the rest of her life with him. Even if that would have only been for 2.2 seconds if the maintenance guy decided to wipe his ass.
You are one sick puppy.
But she's fine. Tells the cops to arrest Richards and Felix for kidnapping.
Teach him to mess with a man and his mannequin.
Then Mrs. Timken comes in with a video of them stealing the mannequins and has the cops arrest BJ for conspiracy. See, she replaced Felix with security cameras, and also lets Jonathan know that she didn't watch him bang last night. But the tape is there if he wants it.
Thank you. I'll add it to the collection.
So Jonathan and Emmy get married in the window, where Hollywood officiates, and there's a huge crowd of department store window enthusiasts as their guests. So yeah, she traveled all through history, meeting all sorts of interesting people, only to end up marrying some dude.
Do you know who my parents wanted me to marry?
Who?
A camel dung dealer.
You think we should name our first kid Pinocchio?
I was hoping to avoid this, but this is an hour of desperation.
These are the times we live in.
Speak up, don't be shy now.
How is the best way to do that, huh? Huh?
When can you start?
As soon as I finish this.
Now, some people may find you strange, but not me. I respect that. Create, honey. Create!
Take a hike, Wussy Pants.